to overtime. Dwayne Wade right at the body of Anderson Varejao. Welcome to your Kodak moment, Anderson Varejao.
Doncic pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Doncic wins the game at the buzzer!
All right, we're back. We talked about the Buccaneers and the Packers. Crazy game. The question there is, are the Buccaneers now Super Bowl contenders? And they brought in Tom Brady to be Super Bowl contenders. They've been winning games off of their defense, surprisingly. Most games they've gotten into shootouts, they've lost. Most notably, the Saints game, which did not go well for them. But yeah, they scored. They lost to the Bucs. Then they blew out the Panthers 31-17. Actually, they have won a few in shootouts. I take it back. They lost to the Bears in Week 5, mostly because of Tom Brady's errors. Beat the Broncos in Week 3. Week 4, they barely beat the Chargers. And then, they just destroyed the Packers. So the question is, are they Super Bowl contenders? And they have a stretch of, all right, so they play the Raiders on Sunday. That's going to be a hard game, especially, if Henry Ruggs is healthy, Darren Waller is back to playing great, and Josh Jacobs can rush for a hell of a lot of yards and a few touchdowns. That game could get ugly quickly, but the Bucs are somehow remarkably good at stopping the run, even with Vita Vea being out for the season. And they're just, Antoine Winfield, I said, would be the best safety in this draft class, and he is proving me right. Even with what most people consider to be the best safety in the class, Xavier McKinney, being out for for some time with a foot injury. Antoine Winfield's been insanely good. And the Buccaneers are really depending on him. Chauncey Gardner, is it Chauncey Gardner? No, he's with the Saints. The Bucs have a combination of good cornerbacks, kind of just make it work. What their real strength is their linebacking and defensive line core, which is, Devin White, crazy speed. He's a tackling machine. He gets from sideline to sideline incredibly quickly. Huge part of why their run defense has been relatively good. You got Shaquille Barrett, last year's sack leader. Jason Pierre-Paul is having a comeback year. A friend of mine who's also a Giants fan has, wanted to trade Olivier Vernon instead of JPP and is now yelling that again. And honestly, I can't blame him. They have a lot to work with. They have a lot of talent there. And Ndamukong Suh continues to somehow just create pressure that leads into sacks, even if he doesn't have the most eye-popping numbers. So is this team a Super Bowl contender? They play the Raiders in Week 7, so next week. Then they have the Saints in Week 9, Panthers in Week 10, and Rams in Week 11, and then Chiefs Week 12. I think that those 4 to 5 games, if you want to count the Panthers or not, because, the 3-game win streak, you don't know how much that really means. And of course they play the Giants in that span, and that should be an easy win for them. So that'll tell us if they are Super Bowl contenders. Because if they win whatever it'll be 9 of their first 12, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That almost guarantees a playoff spot. And would be huge for them because they've won 4 so far. Right? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, they've won 4 of 6 so far, so they're 4-2. Though, in the next 2 weeks, they could either be 6-2 or 5-3. And then, the Saints, Panthers, Rams, Chiefs, those 4 games will tell us how good they are. Seriously. And they, of course, they put on a clinic on the Packers yesterday. Like, absolutely relentlessly destroyed the Packers. And that's impressive, especially considering how good the Packers offense was before yesterday. Oh my God. Oh, sneezes, man. Not fun, especially not when you're talking about football. Yeah. Bucks could be for real. Bucks could be real good. This is a team that runs off their defense. On offense, they convert when they have to. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, both back and healthy, apparently. Gronk had his best game of the year easily, looked very good again. OJ Howard has been disappointing. He doesn't do much of, anything. Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette, LaShawn McCoy is absolutely washed. But Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette may be one of the middle of the pack running back duos. Not good for fantasy, good for playing, and good for winning games, but that's certainly something. Next up, Titans beat the Texans in overtime and, are now one of 3 undefeated teams. I think it's time to start asking, despite the fact that they are the worst team at limiting COVID cases, are the Titans for real? I mean, look, I was the number one Titans hater. I was like, look, lost Jack Conklin. That's a huge member of the offensive line. Look, they just managed to lose Taylor Lewan to a torn ACL. Who knows how much that affects their run game, which is what they, build off of. A.J. Brown hasn't been incredible. Corey Davis has picked up the slack there, but still. Jonnu Smith, is fine. Somehow this team just keeps managing to win. Jadeveon Clowney doesn't have a single sack on the whole year. He has 2 pass deflections, which is certainly exciting, but with how good this defensive line is, there should be significantly more pressure coming through. What's his name? It's not Isaiah Simmons. It's Jeffrey Simmons. Boom. Out of Mississippi State. He was insane in the early few weeks, and now he's hurt again. So that's something. Somehow the Titans are taking all of these misfits and turning them into, what may be one of the better defenses in the NFL. Derrick Henry, there's not much special about him. Watch a Titans game. He does not get hit for the first 3 yards in any direction. If they're trying to get to the edge, 3 yards, no one breaks through that offensive line. Maybe he can't find the edge as easily, but he at least gets the space to move there. And if they're running straight down your throat, he's going to get 3 to 4 yards no matter what, just because he doesn't get touched. And of course, the speed at his size is impressive, but he's not real. He can't really catch the ball. As far as pass blocking goes, he's mediocre. And he has what may be one of the best, what may be the single best run blocking offensive line in the league. And yet, him and Ryan Tannehill are just making it work. And of course, they went to overtime against the Texans. And this says more about the Texans than it does about the Titans, but someone help Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson currently leads the league in touchdown percentage, in explosive play percentage. It's not in passing yards, but boy, is it close. He's doing everything for that team. And as soon as it went to overtime, it was just, look, Texans can't stop the run for everything. So Derrick Henry just completely ate. And I'm not sure that happens against everyone, but until they lose, we have to assume the fact that the Titans are, in fact, a very good team. And that is difficult for me, who does not like the Titans. But yeah, the Titans may just be Super Bowl contenders, and last year may not have been a one-year thing. Now, of course, Taylor Lewan is a huge loss, and I'm worried about that, but if they can manage to get past that, and Isaiah, oh my God, and Jeffrey Simmons comes back, because I'm combining their 2 previous first-round picks, which is Isaiah Wilson, the right tackle out of Georgia, and Jeffrey Simmons, and it just gives me Isaiah Simmons, who, was the linebacker prospect out of Clemson who went to the Chargers this past year. But yeah, if they can figure it out, this may be a contender moving forward. And I hate to, it's confusing as hell to say that. But the Titans are for real. And maybe I just cursed them, but it seems like the Titans are for real.